guys. Hit that like button on the way in. What's up, everybody, on this space? What's up, Bryantologist? What's happening, guys? Hit that like on the way in.
We always do about this time.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
All right, what do you say we just jump right into it? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. I really do appreciate you coming back. Hit that like button on the way in if you enjoy what you're seeing, if you enjoy what you're hearing, if you like the chat. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps a lot. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers here. Welcome to everybody on this space as well. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to Matt over there. And thank you to the fabulous chat and to the fabulous mods over here on Blunt Politics as well. Lots to get into, lots to talk about. Another crazy day, more revelations in terms of Venezuela. We're going to be talking about the momentum or at least the overperformance that the Democrats continue to see in different elections around the country, which is a good sign, Now we just need the Democratic politicians to, wake the fuck up, realize what the momentum and how pissed off the American people are, so we can utilize that going into midterms and we can make the correct decisions and put out the correct policies to help the working class people in this country, to help the people that have been, most stepped on by the billionaire class, by the 1%. So please, like I said, hit that like button on the way in. We got a lot to talk about. The MAGA civil war continues. Like I said, as the momentum shifts, as we see Democrats picking up, if not outright winning the elections in all of these places, but definitely picking up a vast majority of points, a vast amount of points compared to past elections, compared to how they've performed in past elections. So we'll be talking about the Gary Clemens win in Kentucky, which is, again, another good sign. Put this along the lines of with the November elections. It's really a good sign, but we need to utilize some of this stuff. We'll also be taking a look at, while that's going on, you got Nick Fuentes and Roseanne Barr are now going at it. I shit you not. I know, sounds crazy, but, this is along the lines of Nick Fuentes against Candace Owens, Candace Owens against Steven Crowder against Piers Morgan against every, you know what I mean? It's like they're so concentrated and focused on the infighting that, the Democratic wins, such as Gary Clemens winning, 70, I think he said 73% of the vote in his, I think it's the 37th Senate district in Kentucky. I mean, that's a huge performance by a Democrat in an area like that. So, as the infighting continues with the Republicans, like I said, we need to continue to hammer away, slip through those cracks that are being left wide open by the people that continuously and normally suck up all of the views and the clicks and the money that goes into political commentary, political podcast and stuff like that. So it's good. We also have the I've Had It podcast ladies have their reaction to the Vanity Fair bombshell kind of article. We also have a reaction from Vanity Fair to what's her face now? I can't even think of her name now. The Trump's chief of staff. What the hell's her name? Susie Wiles, crying out loud. Susie Wiles. Concussions are not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Concussions are no joke. But yes, Vanity Fair has responded to what Susie Wiles has said about the quote-unquote hit piece. Apparently, it's all on tape. It was all recorded, so she can't wiggle out of it. She's got no wiggle room whatsoever, unless, of course, it comes out that, some of this stuff was somehow wildly taken out of context, which we went over in the show yesterday. A lot of these points, a lot of what she said, it's almost impossible to add context to it and have it, turn around and be like, oh yeah, it doesn't mean what I said it meant, what I said. It's crazy. There's no way to add context to it. So like I said, hit that like button. Lots to discuss. What else we got going on? Oh yeah, we'll be talking about is the secret bunker below the ballroom there and what's going on with that. What else we got going on? Oh yeah, the Trump blockade, obviously, with Venezuela. So, lots to get to. All right, let's dive into it. Let's pop into, let me throw this on your screen now. And again, just really quickly about the, momentum, at least, how this shows how frustrated people are in this country. That's what I'll put it down to. This is showing how frustrated people are in this country. And then again, this is about the Democratic victory by Gary Clemens in the Kentucky special election for the Senate down there. And this is just a really quick recap of, how much of the vote he got. some of his statements, some of the things like that. So why don't we take a look again? Good signs. Again, you got to put this with the wins in Georgia, the wins in Mississippi. Mamdani with the here in California with the with the things that they were voting on here. You know what I mean? So let me play this. Let me put this on the screen. Excuse me as I get distracted while I try to put this. There we go. Full screen. All right, here we go. Check this out.
Also happening tonight.
Check this out. Listen to what he says. Listen to what he says here. Ready?
Let's just be honest. Those numbers, we just kick some ass.
He says, let's be honest, with those numbers, we just kick some ass, right? And again, with 73% of the vote coming in for the Democratic candidate here, I mean, it's pretty overwhelming. I think it was like plus 40 points compared to, the number of votes that they got, but, points that the margin, basically a victory between the Republican and the Democrat last. I think they picked up something like plus 40 points. So again, the momentum, this is a scene carried out no matter where we're talking about in and around the country, whether we're talking about Kentucky, a red state, whether we're talking about a purple state, blue states, red counties, districts, whatever you want to say. We've seen the Democrats outperform and overperform comparatively to, compared to past elections, compared to what everybody thought was going to happen. And again, even if they aren't taking these elections outright, just the switch, just the change in momentum, just the change in the voting pattern, the voting numbers has a huge impact again. And it's something that we need to continuously hammer home, focus on, continuously change whatever upcoming elections we can, focus on the Democratic politician in there, focus on the Democratic candidate, highlight them, put them up, you know what I mean? So we gotta keep hammering this stuff home because it's good to see that we, it's not a fluke. The November elections weren't a fluke. It wasn't just that one-time thing, and that, the more Donald Trump in the Republican Party piss off the American people, the more we have to harness that anger, the more we have to harness that frustration and utilize that going into midterms. So here we go.
Also happening tonight, election night, the special election for one large district in southwest Jefferson County. Low voter turnout on this cold December Tuesday, but a decisive victory for Democrat Gary Clemens. The race for Kentucky's vacant 37th Senate district seat was called for Clemens just an hour after the polls closed at 6 o'clock tonight. Clemens, an Army veteran and local labor union president, defeated.
That is an ass whooping. Here, let me get out of the way. You can see the whole full screen. That is an ass whooping, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. An ass whooping in Kentucky. Let's not try to sugarcoat this. Let's not breeze past where this election is, right? We're talking about Kentucky, ladies and gentlemen. Kentucky. I'll repeat that. Kentucky, Democrats, 73% of the vote. And you could hear they tried to put in there that it was a cold day and that, it was low voter turnout, which probably, which very well could have been the case. But still, for the people that did show up, 73% of them voted for the Democrat. Again, and every single one of them, I guarantee if you ask them the questions on the way out, if you take the exit polling on why they voted the way they voted, it was affordability. It was, Donald Trump, the way he's handling our foreign affairs. You can see ICE. Cost of living, obviously the affordability crisis, but that Donald Trump loves to call a hoax and stuff. The Epstein files, all of the major things that we continuously hammer home here are the things that are working. So again, this is incredible to see. I like to see it. I want to continue to see it. We need to continue to praise and highlight and show people just what momentum looks like. And again, even if it's not behind the Democratic politicians, even at this point, even if it's just because of frustration and anger and, just the resentment you have towards this regime and what they're doing right now, then that still can be utilized, can be harnessed for our benefit, right? And that's what we're trying to do. So let's just continue.
Republican Calvin Leach and the Libertarian Wendy Higdon. Clemens winning 73% of the vote, Leach with 25%, Higdon with 2% tonight. Now, here's a look at Kentucky's 37th Senate district. You can see from the map, we're talking about a pretty large area of southwest Jefferson County, which includes Shively, PRP, Valley Station, and even some part of Fairdale. Well, the special election drew a low 7% turnout with cold weather and Christmas just days away. Just about 5,200 voters casting their ballots. Regardless, this seat matters, with 2026 being a budget year for Kentucky. WHAS 11's political reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez and photojournalist Levi Hammer are reporting from Louisville's South End.
And again, we don't need to get into the ins and outs of what that means for, localized Kentucky politics. But I mean, for the overall look, for the overall momentum for Democrats to continuously prove to people and show people, hey, what happened in November, what happened after that is not a fluke. Like this is a showing. This is a good representation, a good example of how the American people are feeling and exactly how they're willing to vote to show the current administration that they don't agree with basically anything that they're currently doing. The corruption, again, the way that they're treating our allies, again, the way that they're calling the affordability crisis a hoax, job crisis, homeless crisis, layoffs, unemployment on the rise, inflation. I mean, you know what I mean? It's a lot of these things that they were promised were going to be fixed. They were promised by Donald Trump. Everything was going to change and he was going to make it all better and everything was going to be cheap a week into a week into his presidency. People are now beginning to show their resentment, even if you weren't a Democrat or a progressive or a liberal, right? We're seeing more and more. The MAGA folks call Donald Trump out. The MAGA folks just straight up leaving MAGA, looking for another party or another wing of the Republican Party to latch on to, whether it's Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens or whatever it may be. They're steadily and rapidly right now flocking away from Donald Trump, and they're trying to leech onto and attach themselves to other areas of the, other gross areas of the Republican Party. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody is pointing this stuff out. We continue to highlight this stuff wherever the victories come, whatever county they may be in, and especially if they're in red states, especially if it's in the deep South, where it's hugely beneficial and hugely meaningful, right? And something not against the norm. Basically, where Democrats are outperforming where they should be or where they have been. In terms of elections in these areas. And this is, again, just to show you how upset the people are about what's going on in this country. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me as we talk about kind of different politics around the, around the country. But these different elections need to be highlighted, need to be talked about. Even upcoming elections too. We need to continuously highlight the Democratic candidates in it. We need to stop this bullshit about I don't know what you want to call it, the bad talk or these ridiculous videos going around, about what's going on in Texas and kind of trying to throw Jasmine Crockett under the bus. Meanwhile, not recognizing what we're facing as an opponent on the other end. You know what I mean? Like, that's for another show, but we don't have to get into that today. But I mean, again, that's another thing that pisses me off. People just not recognizing, the lesser of two evils aspect of what we have to face today. And again, what we're facing on the other side is far more egregious than any complaints and kind of policy disagreements you have with people that are on the overwhelming majority, for the overwhelming majority. For the same things that we're for. But again, like I said, for a different show. But let me throw this up on the screen because this is, again, along the lines of a Democratic momentum and then the Republicans right now being so distracted with the infighting, so distracted with trying to call out their own, so distracted with trying to, keep and hold that cult together. That's what one side of it's trying to hold the cult together and the other side of it is trying to just blow it apart, right? I think Candace Owens is on the side of just trying to blow everything apart. And then there's a few people on the other side, trying to hold it together, whether you're the Ben Shapiro's or, the other faction of the crowd there. But it's kind of spreading. This whole thing is spreading. Again, we'll probably have to report on this later tonight, but apparently there was a secret 4-hour meeting between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens. And right now, Candace Owens fans are kind of losing their shit. I don't know if she's actually put out a show since. I'll have to check it out. But people were, let's just say the Candace fans were, anxiously awaiting her response to this meeting because if she kind of comes out and is all of a sudden in agreement with Erica Kirk, if she's all of a sudden going to, toe the official establishment line to the death of Charlie Kirk, which she has been hammering conspiracy theories. She has been just in every turn calling out every one of the things that the government has said they have as evidence. So her fans are now kind of questioning whether or not she's just going to roll over. And all of a sudden, what happened in this meeting if she does roll over? So there's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of people just literally primarily focused on their friends or, their fellow podcasters and what happens with the infighting, and not focused on politics, not focused on what the government is doing, not focused on combating Democrats, not focused on calling out Democratic whatever they're good at, when they were good at it, when they were together and doing the same thing. They are in total disarray. And I don't know if anything really proves that more than this clip. Check this out, because these are two people that I just didn't have on my bingo card that were going to be feuding in 2025. I didn't see it coming. I didn't have Roseanne Barr, her son, and Nick Fuentes, calling each other motherfuckers. I didn't have it. I didn't have it. But apparently Roseanne Barr has entered the fight. She now wants a piece of Nick Fuentes, just like everybody else does. And Nick Fuentes kind of has a response, but this is all in one here. This is the clip from Roseanne Barr attacking Nick Fuentes, and also Nick Fuentes' response to Roseanne Barr. So let's just dive into a little bit of this madness, please. If we can just kind of gloat and smile and laugh at a little bit of the madness that is going on. And these are the two people. Like, just imagine watching this as a Republican and be like, all right, whose side am I on this? Am I on the side of fucking Roseanne Barr, who honestly has probably taken more pills and drugs at this point to kill like a stable of horses? Or do I want to, represent and defend Nick Fuentes, the I love Adolf Hitler guy? Like, what are your choices in this? You're fucking damned if you do and damned if you don't. Talk about being caught between a rock and a fucking hard place. All right. And again, this is just a couple minutes long, but it's funny as hell. Listen to these two go after each other. And again, it's Nick Fuentes. What does the headline say? I don't know who posted this. Snipe the hype. Not sure who that is. Nick Fuentes' response to Roseanne Barr: pure evil. Who will condemn this Christian hate? Or do we only notice anti-Semitism versus the Jews? I'm not sure whose side that guy's on. It's so hard to tell now with these people. You don't know who's rooting for who wants who to win. It's crazy. All right, check this out. You might have to turn the volume up on your old devices a little bit, because Twitter tends to be a little bit low on volume for some reason, but I'll let it play for as long as I can. But check this nonsense out.
What are you going to do about it, Nick Fuentes?
Oh, I didn't make it 2 seconds. I didn't make it 2 seconds. What is she wearing? What is she wearing? Oh my God. What is she wearing? Is that a real, like, I'm wearing this for real wig, or is this like, I know it kind of looks horrendous and I'm wearing it for that reason? And is she got her cigarette backwards? It's not lit. All right. Sorry. I literally made it 1 second. All right. Sorry. All right. Here we go. One more time.
What are you going to do about it, Nick Fuentes? What you going to do about it when I tell you, you little bastard, you're going to be begging the Jews to give you, I don't know what.
Medicine for his Kalman syndrome.
Good one. Really got him on that one. You're going to be begging the Jews to give you something. Give me a second and I'll think of something. Pass it over to my son.
You're going to be begging the Jews to help you, down on your knees and repent like Kanye West, motherfucker. Keep it up. Are you going to go against the God of Abraham? You're going to shit talk the God of the Torah? Keep it up, motherfucker.
Not
You'll
just the
see what
Torah,
happens.
the Bible, Jesus.
We'll see what happens when you try to overthrow the Constitution of the United States, the Republic of the United States of America.
I quit smoking a long time ago, but I do know that if you light it, it works a little better. It's a little bit more effective if you light the cigarette. I don't know. I mean, definitely more healthy this way, but I don't know if she just enjoys holding it in her hand or whatnot. But I love that these two are going at it right now.
Shit about that, saying it ain't good, that we got to have some Catholic theology to replace it. You can kiss my motherfucking rich Jew American ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
I saw. Oh, how does anybody take them seriously? How do you take them seriously? How? I don't understand how. I don't understand how. And Nick actually gave it like a serious response. He saw this and was like, you know what? This deserves a serious Nick Fuentes response. If anything deserves a response, it's this. The lady with the fake blonde wig on, who's clearly out of her tits on some fucking psychedelics right now, holding the upside down cigarette that's not even lit. Like, that's who I'm going to respond to. But he does. He goes on.
Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr said he's going to be on his knees begging the Jews. Roseanne Barr, you need to be put in your fucking place. Okay? You're a guest here. Newsflash, you're a guest here.
Well, she's not a guest here. She's an American citizen born in the United States of America. How the fuck is she a guest here? And again, I'm not here to defend fucking Roseanne Barr, but it's pretty self-evident as to what I'm saying is the fact.
This isn't a Jewish country. This is a Christian country.
Nope. See, it's not a Christian country. It's just not a Christian country. That whole separation of church and state thing and the way that the founding fathers actually drew it up was for a specific reason, right? And weren't most of them actually deists, where they just didn't they believed in a God, just not a specific or any one God. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. I haven't done much I haven't done much deep diving into the the mindset of the founding fathers recently. But it's ridiculous to say that it's a Christian. It's not a Christian nation. It's just not. Hence, again, the separation of church and state and the way that was written. We could get into it, but we don't have enough time. But I think you guys understand how that's just a dumb statement, right? That's what they want it to be. They want it to be a white Christian nationalist nation. That's what they're trying to turn it into. That's what their end goal is, to get rid of all the brown people, get rid of all the black people, get rid of the LGBTQIA community, get rid of the transgenders, right? That's what they really want. They want it to be this white, dedicated white society of all whites that, go to church every single day for hours and hours a day, probably multiple times on Sunday. That's what they want. They don't want to look over and see a Mexican living next to them. They don't want to look over and see somebody from Guatemala living next to them. They don't want to look over and see an African-American next to them, right? That's not what they're looking for. That's not their ideal society. So to say that it's a Christian nation, especially the way he's going to speak not long later in this clip, right, is pretty hypocritical. And I think we all know that's the same thing as well. You can pull up any number of videos of people online claiming to be Christians while calling for harm for other people, or hoping for the worst for other people, or actively calling for the death of other people. Not very Christian-like, right? Not very Jesus-like. Not what Jesus would necessarily do if he was kind of teleported down to 2025. Right now, I think he'd act probably and say a little bit of he'd probably be a little bit different. Let's put it that way.
This country was not founded by Jews. Jews didn't write the Constitution. Jews didn't write the Declaration. Jews didn't fight in the American Revolutionary War. Europeans did. Christians did. You're a guest. You need to be put in your place. You disgusting fat bitch. No one is going to be begging Jews for anything, because Americans would rather die on their feet than live on their knees begging to anybody. She goes, you're messing with the God of Abraham. You're messing with God. His name is Jesus Christ. That's who you're messing with. She goes, you're messing with the God of Abraham. You're messing with Yahweh. God's name is Jesus Christ, actually. That's the God of this nation. That's the God of your nation. That's your king, too. As a matter of fact, he's especially your king. He's the king of you people. He's the king of the Jews. Christ is king over everybody, especially you, Roseanne Barr, and that's who you're messing with. She goes, he's messing with the God of Abraham. We're like Daniel. We can predict the future. We know everything. It isn't right. And everybody can see what they're doing. All it takes is one person that isn't ashamed. That's why they hate me. Because you can't guilt me. You can't shame me. I'm shameless. I'm guiltless. Absolutely. They go, you're racist. You're anti-Semitic. You're a Holocaust denier. Yeah. You said Hitler. Cool. Yeah, he is cool. Fuck you.
So they blocked it out there, but he's saying Hitler, right? Just to kind of, I want to get to this part at least, but this is where he's saying, yes, I am a racist. Yes, I am a bigot. Yes, I do love Hitler, right? And again, to be the hypocrisy, let's just point this out for a second. And I'm sure everybody probably recognizes this to a certain extent, but the hypocrisy, right, of being quote unquote America first, but also loving Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin. Again, two people that the United States went to war with, two people that the U.S. soldiers died to fight against, right? Adolf Hitler actively killed, and ordered his military to kill, just like Joseph Stalin did, U.S. military soldiers, U.S. military members. But you're America first. How do you put that on both hands and wear it at the same time, right? It makes absolutely no sense. You can't put those two things together. You can't idolize Adolf Hitler, a man that clearly, and almost single-handedly defines, the modern history of the United States and why we are where we are and why we have to act the way we act on the world stage, right? Where hundreds of thousands of U.S. servicemen and women died to fight, right? Risked their lives, millions risked their lives and gave up everything they had in this country to go to a foreign country to fight a war for democracy so that we now can live the life that we live here in this country, while at the same time putting on an America First hat. I mean, I think the only thing you say to that is two words, right? Fuck you. I think that works.
You.
And he does this, right? This is his, like, I don't even know how you'd kind of come up with it. Like, so, you know how they say online, like, I don't know, like, we try to basically he's trying to get ahead of the curve here. If he can say he's already a racist, if he can say he's a bigot, and he can say he loves Hitler, right? Then you basically have nowhere else to go. Like the three tenets of shame, right? That we try to, say you're in an online battle, you try to, expose somebody as the racist. If they're saying something racist, you expose them, or you try to shame them, right, into realizing what they said is racist and realizing what they said is not acceptable in today's society. But if they combat that, if they're already coming out and saying, yes, I'm a racist, I don't care. Yes, I love Hitler, I don't care. Like, he tries to kind of head off your argument. He tries to stop that. And as he says, he's shameless. He can't be shamed, right? So he tries to kind of take away your angle, take away your weapon that he sees that people try to use against him and his kind by calling them racist, by calling them bigoted, by saying they're Nazis and they love Hitler. He's just going to say it about himself, and that way he's taking your actions that you typically use or would typically use to shame somebody in public. He's taking that tool away, saying that I don't really care. Right? That's his fucking ploy. That's his plan that he has. That's why he comes out and he admits all this stuff. And again, this is on his podcast, right? This is on his podcast. And again, look at how differently he talks and speaks. Clearly anti-Semitic, right? 100 I don't know. It could be more anti-Semitic, the shit that he's saying. Clearly talking about, more specifically talking about his love for Hitler. When he was on Piers Morgan, may have alluded to these things, may have admitted to the overall premise of these things, but doesn't do the deep dive like he does on his Rumble podcast, where he definitely opens up and shows the real Nick Fuentes.
At least Hitler isn't replacing me in my own country. That's the difference.
Right. At least Hitler isn't replacing me in my own country. I mean, sounds almost exactly like the Jews will not replace us. Remember that? Remember the Charlottesville rally? Jews will not replace us. That's what he just said right there. The exact same statement. I feel like at least Hitler is not replacing me in my own country. And again, this is the guy here, Nick Fuentes, the people that some people at least flocking away from Donald Trump, flocking away from the MAGA cult, are now latching onto and now attaching themselves to, looking for, a new leader. And as we can see here, if this becomes the new leader, we have a hell of a fight on our hands, because he's much more fucking talented. I have no problem admitting he's much more talented than Donald Trump rhetorically. Right? Speaking to people, getting people behind him, getting crowds, speaking to crowds. And we all know how dangerous your history, you know how dangerous people can be if they, can in any way be seen as having an advantage in public speaking, or having that aura, for lack of a better term, in their public speaking. Right? As much as egregious as the things that they say are, as hateful and spiteful he is, as much as you dislike it, inevitably the people that follow this type of thing and get sucked up and wrapped up in it. So we need to make sure that we continuously call this out. Same thing with Candace Owens. The more that they gain in popularity, the more that people are trying to flock away from Donald Trump and find, again, another faction of the Republican Party that they, belong to. We need to continuously call those, factions out as well. We can't just sit back and say, okay, once Donald Trump takes his last breath, where, the war is done, the fight has been won. That's just not going to be the case. Unfortunately, this is going to be a long-standing fight, even when Donald Trump is out of the political picture. All right, let's dive into this next Speaking of Donald Trump, we'll talk about this blockade, the total and complete blockade of the Venezuelan oil tankers. Again, as we know, blockade being an act of war. Here, let me throw this on the screen for you guys, for anybody that's curious. And, for anybody that's seen the movie 13 Days, I believe is the name of it, the movie reenacting and depicting the Cuban Missile Crisis, JFK, I think Kevin Costner. Yeah, it's Kevin Costner. A few other great actors in that. But if you've seen 13 Days, then you can, I wish I could show it to you. I wish I wasn't too scared about copyright, because I'd show you the clip in which it shows how seriously, obviously in this movie, kind of reenacting what happened, how seriously they take the act of a blockade. Right, how it's not a light decision, how it is not undertaken in a second. Like it is thought about. You got to think about what the hell it means, what it's going to mean to the people of the country, right? But I'll skip right to the bottom here, because according to modern international law, blockades are an act of war. In that sense, a blockade can be legal only if applied in self-defense, but never as a part of war or aggression. Blockades are illegal when used to starve or collectively punish the civilian population. In such case, they are a war crime and potentially crimes against humanity. At this case, we're not stopping food, as far as I know, food from getting to the shores of Venezuela. So that hasn't come into effect just yet. But don't rule that part out either. Right now, we're just kind of enacting a blockade on their sanctioned oil tankers, which kind of brings up, I guess, a gray area in this whole thing too, which is what I believe they're kind of playing in this administration that lives, that feeds, that thrives in the gray, shadowy areas where loopholes and, people don't, uncertainties, lies. I think that's what's going on here. Right, because we talk about how they're sanctioned oil tankers. So does that give them a little more right or justification in stopping these? I'm not 100% sure how the law goes and the legalities of it are. But again, just the word blockade, just enacting any sort of blockade here is an outright act of war, even though Congress, once again, hasn't signed off on anything like that. Doesn't matter. As soon as you start, employing your Navy to stop the shipments of supplies getting to a certain country, whether it's a blockade on sanctioned vessels, whether it's a blockade on food, whether it's a blockade overall. I mean, you can see here, plain and clear, according to modern international law, blockades are an act of war. Plain and simple. So let me throw this back on here, and we'll go through this CNN clip here depicting and telling us what's actually going on here. All right, let's take a look.
President Trump is now taking the already boiling tension with the Venezuelan president to a new level now, ordering a, quote, total and complete blockade on sanctioned oil tankers in and out of Venezuela. He says that's going to be backed by a, quote unquote, armada of U.S. ships in the region. The specific wording of Trump's announcement may allow for more wiggle room than his blockade threat suggests, but he's definitely trying to escalate things even further. It comes after the U.S. Coast Guard seized this ship. We've been showing you this video since last week off of Venezuela's coast. The new threat is now intended to hit right at the heart of the Venezuelan economy, its massive oil reserves. The president, it appears, is also trying to turn.
And again, I mean, that we could talk about the effect on the Venezuelan people, depending on how long this blockade goes. Again, how detrimental it is. How effective it is. I mean, if it goes on long enough, it will definitely start to have an effect on the population of this country, which again will absolutely bring into terms of whether or not we're actively, starving or make it more difficult for the people to live, right? That's something that definitely has to be looked at and talked about in this aspect as well. But it's a clear escalation, as we've seen escalation after escalation after escalation in this, right? We've talked at length about the about the oil. We've talked at length about other natural resources in and around the area that could very well be, the prize in the eye of Donald Trump, right? But this is in no doubt an escalatory move, putting, again, more and more U.S. servicemen and women in jeopardy if anything were to kick off. Right. And again, we always we talk about how inherently dangerous this is to have that much of our military, that much of our Navy in close proximity to somebody that thinks we're a threat to them. Even though we have the overwhelming, power majority here, we have the overwhelming advantage in terms of, superiority in all aspects. It doesn't mean that, people can't get hurt, people can't die. That's just not the case. So again, we'll go on.
Focus back to the Caribbean and back to his agenda, announcing a primetime speech from the White House tonight. One thing he's likely trying to turn the focus away from, that explosive Vanity Fair interview with his chief of staff, Susie Wiles. People still trying to wrap their heads around what was said on the record in this lengthy series of interviews.
And we got a clip from the I've Had It ladies coming up next, speaking about that exact article. So stick around for that too.
The more and many eyebrow-raising things about what that was said was about those strikes on alleged drug boats off the coast of Venezuela. The Trump administration has maintained that those strikes are aimed at stopping drugs from reaching the United States. But Susie Wiles says on the record now that they're more about the country's leader, saying that Trump, quote, wants to keep on blowing boats up until Maduro cries uncle. CNN's Elena Treen is live.
So basically, Donald Trump right now is sitting around playing a giant game of Battleship. That's what he's doing. He's moving little chess pieces around on a board, or he's instructing commanders and generals and admirals to move around chess pieces that he's looking at. It's no different than Hitler in his last days in the bunker, right? This is Adolf Hitler in his last days in the bunker, directing a military that no longer exists, to direct units that no longer exist, to positions they no longer hold, right? To fire weapons and to move their artillery that is no longer fucking operational. It's just it's delusion. It's a man just using the power that he has to enact this fucking war game, to create more power, to get his friends, his fucking oil conglomerate buddies, vast wealth, vast power, to make sure that we can continuously feed the oil refineries to take the heavy crude, so that these people that are, I'm sure, begging and charring and biting at the heels of Donald Trump to have some sort of fucking help. And again, this has probably been a long time in the making. And now Donald Trump is sitting there in his fucking, decrepit mental state, when he's at his weakest, when he's at his most dangerous, when he's at his, least predictable, most unpredictable state yet that we've seen him in as president, as somebody in United States politics. This is when he's now moving chess pieces around on a fucking little map, on a board, trying to, play these war games, to try to be the tough guy, to try to be the big guy on the planet, right? And he's putting our U.S. servicemen and women directly in harm's way. Directly between Donald Trump, Venezuela, is our servicemen and women that are going to be carrying out these strikes on the Venezuelan homeland, on the fucking, on the, whatever it may be, strikes on the military if this thing kicks off. And believe me, these people will shoot back. They're not going to succeed in their overall mission, but that doesn't mean that they can't cause harm. That doesn't mean that they can't cause damage. That doesn't mean that people won't be killed in this mission.
White House.
Let me throw this back on. Sorry, rant over. Oh, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Peter says, in what is a diabolical move so he can continue to get away with his past crimes, Trump breaks all laws, knowing that there aren't enough judges and courts to hold him accountable. Well, that's just the thing, Peter. Not only is it that, but he also, we say all the time, like, the only thing that he managed to learn from his first administration, from his first term, was who he needs to put in what positions in order to get away with his corruption. Not to how better serve the American people, not to how better be a president to all people, not to better, not how to better treat and, use our relationship with our allies. None of that. Basically, what positions gave him trouble the last time? Okay, those are the positions that I need to get sycophants in. Those are the positions that I need to get somebody friendly and 100% loyal to Donald Trump in, which is the DOJ, the FBI, right? You name it. He's got people installed in every single one of these agencies. He's stacking the Supreme Court, got the Supreme Court on his side. Now, he knows that he kind of has everybody in the right spots in order for him to get away with whatever he wants to get away with, which is why we've seen him act so brazenly, right? With the gold, with the ballroom, right? With the covering up of the Epstein files, with the treatment of Zelensky, coddling up to Russia. Like, these are normally things that if a president is trying to do, are done behind closed doors, right? Like the most hush-hush thing you could put, not in broad daylight, not in front of cameras, not with microphones in front of his face, not conversations of Steve Witkoff literally instructing the Russians how to better, get one over on Donald Trump, how to, get the best out of the negotiations with the United States. This is all in broad daylight. Donald Trump said that was just normal negotiating tactics. But it's anything but. It's everything but. It's crazy.
This morning, about that blockade, what are you hearing?
Yeah, and what a stunning quote that was from Susie Wiles, particularly as someone who's been covering this Venezuela escalation for weeks now. I mean,
and now that they're speaking about Susie Wiles, that's probably a good time to jump into this, considering we're kind of running out of time. But, just to stay on topic, this is what Jen and Pumps kind of had to say about the Vanity Fair article. So I figured, you guys love them. You guys were kind enough to introduce me to them a while ago. We've been covering them a lot, so I figured we'd kind of play their reaction to that. You guys got my reaction to it yesterday, so what do you say we play their reaction to this, and we can continue to discuss? I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Let everybody know I'm live. Let everybody know you like the channel. Let everybody know that we're past 15K and on our way to 20K. And thank you to the mods. Thank you to the fabulous chat. You guys are amazing and the best on YouTube. So let's get into this. This is, again, the I've Had It podcast, and it says, Trump betrayed by his inner circle after Vanity Fair bombshell, who's getting fired? And like I said on Blue Sky this morning, how long will it be before we hear, I don't know, like a 100 bazillion, gazillion, quadrillion, bazillion dollar lawsuit announced against Vanity Fair by Donald Trump? It's coming. It's coming. You just don't know how much it's going to be for. It's going to be $1 bajillion. All right, here we go.
Vanity Fair has gone absolutely nuclear on the Trump administration. They effed them so hard. They lured them in.
I hope they show the pictures. That's one thing that I didn't play on the show is the pictures that Vanity has. Let me see while that's playing. I'll see if I can pull up the pictures in case they don't play it, because I wanted to watch this with you. I didn't cover this. I didn't get into this. So let me see if I can pull those up.
Special.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Well, you're going to be cover story, and then they take these diabolical close-up mugshots and start trotting it out. They get 11 on-tape interviews with Trump Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and you want to talk about loose lips sinking ships. It's unbelievable. These people are so incompetent. They can't even go and stay on script in front of Vanity Fair. All right, let's put up the recount. Has an amazing summary of all of this. Pop it up. Susie Wiles says Trump has an alcoholic personality, which we've all known that for the longest of time. He's the biggest dry drunk on the planet. Not to mention, a lot of people from The Apprentice say that he does engage in uppers and pharmaceuticals. Pretty reliable sources, I would say. All right, moving along. Wiles said Trump has an alcoholic's personality. High-functioning alcoholics, or alcoholics in general, their personalities are exaggerated when they drink. I'm a little bit of an expert in big personalities. He operates with a view that there's nothing he can't do. Nothing. Zero. Nothing.
And again, apparently this is all on tape. So Susie Wiles coming out and said this was a hit piece, saying they took everything out of context. I mean, I find it hard to believe that she didn't know that it was being recorded. Right? I mean, isn't everything in today's day and age? I'm sure there was, multiple recording devices, or a lot of people use their cell phones now, whatever it may be. Like, I find it not only, but was it videotape? I don't know. But I find it very hard and difficult to believe that Susie Wiles was like blown away and shocked by hearing, or at least by thinking she can get away with saying that she didn't say these things and that were out of context. When, again, it's a Vanity Fair. Like, you got to understand that this is going to be recorded in several different ways, just so they could back up and corroborate what they're printing in their magazine, in case you say the shit that you're going to say here. Like, you would have to understand that.
In the next slide. Okay, this is
some of the other things, just for the sake of time. She says, Susie Wiles said about people in the cabinet meeting, J.D. Vance is a conspiracy theorist for a decade who's transitioning from from a Trump critic to an ally was sort of political. Pam Bondi whiffed on the Epstein files. RFK pushes the envelope, some would say too far. Marco Rubio is not the sort of person that would violate his principles. And then it says Russ Voigt is a right-wing absolute zealot. And then check this out. Here's some of the pictures, just to kind of show you these. Ready? Look, I mean, they did do them dirty. I got to say, they absolutely did do them dirty in terms of pictures. Like, these are fucking straight up mugshots. This is you just been fucking sentenced to a long prison term, and this is you still fucking it still has to like you're still trying to digest that. Like it still hasn't hit you yet, right? And you're like, okay, I'm just gonna stare straight ahead with this 1,000-mile stare. She looks like she's been under artillery fire for the last fucking 3 weeks. That's what she looks like. She looks like she's in the trenches of the Somme under an artillery barrage for the last 7 weeks. And this is what you see when you pull her out of the trenches. She just can't talk, can't speak. Her eyes are wide open. That's it. And then it goes on with oh my God. What is that? Why does he look 73 years old? Why does he look 70? Isn't he younger than I am? Jesus H. Holy shit. And it goes on. Oh yeah, this is the one a lot of people are talking about. This is the one a lot of people are talking about. Oh no, I don't want to like it. How do I unlike it? No, I don't want to like that. Let me go back. I don't want that. And we'll go back to this. Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry, it brought me to Instagram and I clicked one too many times. It had me like it. I didn't want to like it. But yeah, this is Caroline Levitt. Again, less than 30, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Under 30 years old. And that's I'll leave it at that. I'll leave that one there. And here's Marco Rubio. Look at Marco. What happened to Marco? This is what happens when you work for Donald Trump. This is what happens when you have to work for Donald Trump. This is what you end up looking like. Oh my good God. They look like hostage photos. They look like hostage photos. And is there another one? Yep, there's Stephen Miller doing. Oh no, I don't want to go there. There's Stephen Miller doing him dirty. Here's what his mugshot. This is what we have to look forward to for a Stephen Miller mugshot. Who else? Was there another? Wasn't there one with like Marco Rubio looking at a fucking lamp or some shit? Where was that one? They must not have that one posted. But yeah, just to kind of give you a sense of what some of those pictures look like. Jesus Christ. Enough to give you nightmares, some of those, if not all of them. But yeah, we'll go on.
You guys, what Susie Wiles said about people in Trump's cabinet, she says about Lil Smokey, our little failed drag queen, JD Vance, is a conspiracy theorist for a decade whose transition from Trump critic to ally was sort of political. This is stunning. A White House chief of staff takes the vice president, puts him under the bus, drives over it, hits reverse, reverses back over it, goes back over it again, and hits reverse and back over it. That's how unlikable these people are. Yeah. This is the nicest thing she can say on record. On Pam Bondi, she says she completely whiffed the handling of the Epstein files. On RFK Jr., he pushes the envelope, some would say too far. On Marco Rubio, is not the sort of person that would violate his principles.
Again, we went over a lot of this on the show yesterday for what they had to say, but let's get into this part where they talk about Elon.
Moving along. On Elon Musk, she says he is an avowed ketamine user. He sleeps.
Like, what the fuck? What was Susie Wiles shit-faced? I'm serious. I said yesterday, was she on truth serum? Like, did somebody inject her with truth serum? Like, was she shit-faced? What would make you go in there and be like, yeah, fucking Elon's a ketamine junkie. Trump's a drunk. Fucking JD Vance doesn't like Donald Trump. He's a fucking fraud. Like, she just laid it bare. Like, she just went in there with, like, I think she actually may have had the chainsaw that Elon Musk went on stage with. And that's how she went into the Vanity Fair interview, just with a fucking chainsaw. Like, she's so sick of working in this administration. She's like, fuck it. I'm going to use this as my out. I'm going to use this as my opportunity. I'm going to drink 2 boxes of Franzia. I'm going to drink 2 boxes of fucking Franzia and head into my Vanity Fair interview. And I'm just going to let loose. But yeah, they go on.
Sleeps in a sleeping bag in the EOB in the daytime. He's an odd duck, as I think geniuses are. No rational person could think the USAID process was a good one. Nobody. So if she
now, I don't know if she's referencing what they did to damage USAID, or if she's specifically talking about USAID as an organization. it would seem to me the way she's speaking about Elon here, talking about his as a ketamine user, sleeping in a bag, sleeping in a sleeping bag, being an odd duck, that she would be talking about Doja's work in the destruction of USAID. And as and not what most Republicans would call out as far as just USAID, the organization, to begin with. You know what I mean?
Took Lil Smokey and drove over him and reversed back over and over. She's waterboarding Elon Musk right now, you guys. And then she's throwing him under the bus. I mean, this is so damning. And you know what's so fascinating about Elon
What's
Musk?
next? I just want to see if there's anything next they go into. Yeah, there's one here too.
She says Trump is in the Epstein files, and we know he's in the files, and he's not in the file doing anything awful. He was on Epstein's plane. He's on the manifest. They were, sort of young, single, whatever. I know it's passe. It's a passe word, but sort of young, single playboys together.
Again, she's the chief of staff to the president of the United States at a time where the country, if not the world, is enraged, incensed, literally begging for justice for the victims in this case. And it's the president himself who is named in the files multiple times, pictured with the monsters that perpetrated all of these crimes multiple times, never lived more than a fucking driver's distance away from Jeffrey Epstein ever, right? The guy that has clearly got the motive and the reason for covering this up. Now, wouldn't you expect the chief of staff to go in there and maybe just do like this, I don't know, puff propaganda bullshit to get away from, like, you know what I mean? Like, you understand how this kind of works? Like, she's going in there, yeah, he's in the file. He didn't do anything wrong, but he's fucking in there, baby. He was a young playboy. Boy, him and Jeffrey were playboys together, but, nothing wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. Like, that's just, I don't know, just really strange behavior. This whole thing is really strange behavior from a White House chief of staff. You know what I mean? Like, her job is to maintain like the semblance of respectability somehow of this administration, which is almost nearly impossible. Obviously, we know that, but this whole thing just reads weird. And I want to pop this on the screen too, because Vanity Fair kind of responded to the criticisms from Susie Wiles. So let me throw this on the screen as well, just because we're kind of running out of time. And this is the CNN covering the Vanity Fair response.
This is, unfortunately, another example of disingenuous reporting, where you have a reporter who took the chief of staff's words wildly out of context, did not include the context those conversations were had within, and then...
Please, why doesn't a reporter right then and there say, okay, let's bring out this 90 days she gave Donald Trump for political retribution, or any one of the things she said about J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or Elon Musk. What is the context for calling Elon Musk a fucking degenerate junkie? Please, can you add the context? What was the context, Susie, that Vanity Fair left out that would, I don't know, excuse the fact that she told us that J.D. Vance was really an ex-Trumper, not a Trumper, and only did it for political reasons? Or, again, she gave Donald Trump 90 days to enact political retribution, but even though we're well past that in 11, almost a year on into his second term now, he's still actively seeking political retribution against his political opponents or anybody that said anything negative about him. Right? I wish a fucking reporter would just step up in the moment and please, okay, what is the context for this then? Please do add some, because I would love to know at any point what context would make this better.
Further, I think the most egregious part of this article was the bias of omission that was clearly present. And we see a lot of this when dealing with the media every day.
Well, again, Chris Whipple is with us tonight, and we'll certainly ask him to address those complaints. First, though, some of what Susie Wiles said, quoting from...
All right, we don't need to go over. They're going to kind of just recap what Susie Wiles said a little bit. I'm going to go to where they bring in, I believe, the gentleman that actually did the interview, right? So let me go skip ahead here. This is where they sit down with the gentleman here. I'll bring him in, and he can kind of address the allegations here.
Amen. Joining me now is Chris Whipple in his first broadcast interview since his two-part Vanity Fair piece landed. He's also the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Gatekeepers, How the White House Chiefs of Staff Define Every Presidency. Chris, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, great to be here.
A lot to talk about. First of all the things Susie Wiles told you, what surprised you the most?
You know, Anderson, this was one of those cases as a reporter in your career when lightning strikes. And it was astonishing to me the extent to which she was unguarded and freewheeling on the record all the time. I've covered, as you know, I wrote a book about the Biden White House where everybody was on deep background requiring quote approval. Quite the opposite in this case. Susie Wiles in 11 interviews over 11 months.
That's how many there were, 11 interviews over.
11 interviews over 11 months, right? Jesus Christ. And every single one of them, somehow she showed up shit-faced.
For 11 months.
11 in-depth interviews in which she was on the record. Everything in the article was on the record.
Were you recording every interview?
I recorded every interview.
Even
And there it is. Recorded. Everything was on the record. Recorded every interview. Every word Susie Wiles said was on tape, recorded. So again, there's ample evidence that we could look at, or, you know, if they want to put it out there to say, hey, listen, this is the added context surrounding these quotes that we pulled out. You tell me what makes this okay. What context did we leave out that you think would have changed what these statements represent or who they're about even?
Ones that were on the phone. There was one where she was doing laundry, apparently.
Yep, everything is on tape.
Did she know this was for Vanity Fair? Did she think this was for a long-term book that you were doing?
She knew I was working on a book at the outset. When I told her that Vanity Fair had agreed to do a piece, to publish a piece, she was all in and enthusiastic about it.
Why?
See, that's strange because I could almost see, guys, you could almost see if like she thought that he was working on like a long-term book, say wasn't going to come out for another, I don't know, let's just say it wasn't going to come out until after this administration, right? Like it would almost be something you could be like, okay, I can see that happening that way when the information of the book comes out. Like she's not even still in the administration. There'd be no ramifications, right? She could probably make a couple bucks by, you know, people asking her or wanting interviews afterwards, whatever it may be. You can almost kind of see that, but where now we hear that she was told that this is not only going to be for the book, but it was picked up by Vanity Fair for an article and they're going to publish it. She was all in, quote unquote, all in for it, which is again really strange.
She is so legendarily averse to being out front.
That's why I say that this was lightning striking. It's amazing to me. First of all, I think that she is the most fascinating person in American politics, not only because she ran a brilliant campaign and brought Trump back from the dead to win the 2024 election. She's the first female White House chief of staff. But in addition, she's kind of the Greta Garbo of White House chiefs. I mean, she's never on camera, rarely on camera, hardly ever gives interviews, and yet she did. I think it's because, all I can tell you is what she told me. She felt the Trump 1.0 had been unfairly covered. That Trump was vilified
during the first administration.
She
thought she'd just roll in there and call him an alcoholic and just steamroll everybody else in the administration, and that would get more favorable coverage, I guess. We're just gonna expose everybody in the administration and hope that the press would then more favorably cover this administration. Like, what was the plan here? What was the fucking plan? What was behind her? Like, what was the motivation for somebody, again, as we're talking about, these reporters know her as somebody kind of behind the scenes, not really willing to be out in front, not willing to, to be on camera that much. And all of a sudden she's doing 11 different interviews over 11 months. And she's kind of spilling the beans more than anybody in this administration has for a long time. Like, again, I don't know. Is there something brewing behind the scenes where she's not happy with what's going on either? I find this hard to believe that this was just kind of like a slip up over 11 months, right? That it makes no sense to me that she would just continuously slip up and go against what, her normal routine or her normal actions for a full 11 months, for a full 11 interviews. Just something, I don't know, must be brewing. But again, over 11 months, that's since the beginning of the administration. So how long could this shit have been brewing? I don't fucking know. The whole thing is just strange. It really is strange. But unfortunately, we are out of time today. I meant to show you this too. This is the second day in a row I meant to show you this. I guess we'll cover this tonight. How about this? We'll cover this tonight. I got about a minute left to kind of just show you that. I want to cover this tonight because I want to refresh everybody's memory because we're talking about Trump's handling of the military. And again, We can not hope for anything predictable. We can not hope for anything that actually makes sense in terms of, orders given to the military or anything that we're going to see undertaken, in Venezuela by the CIA, by the Navy, whatever it may be. And this is a great story here, I think, to kind of reiterate the craziness, the insane nature in which Donald Trump kind of handles the military. And this is from his first administration. And this is when he gave a secret memo ordering the withdrawal of all U.S. forces from Afghanistan and Syria all at the same time. And this was not approved by Congress. This was not approved by any of the higher ups. Nobody knew about the order. So Mark Milley actually went to the White House to, kind of say, what the fuck's going on here? If not almost those exact words. And nobody knew. Nobody had ever heard of the order. Nobody knew about the order. Nobody knew what it was about, why it was given. And again, this is an order to withdraw and in its entirety, U.S. forces from 2 different nations, with no prior planning, no prior consultation with the country that would be leaving or enemies in the area, whatever it may be. That's a crazy story. So we'll go over that tonight, but I really do appreciate you guys. I'm going to toss it over to my main man, Jeff Waldorf, over on this space. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to the mods over there. You guys are fantastic. And as I always say, I'm very appreciative and very honored to be a part of the coalition that you guys are building and have built over there. So please make sure, if you're not subscribed to this space, head over there and check out this space. Thank you guys. I'll throw it over to Jeff. I appreciate you. For everybody else, make sure you stick around so I can thank you for contributing to the show. But thank you to this space. Have a great day, guys. All right. So once again, thank you guys to everybody over here as well. Mods, you guys are fantastic. Always have been and always will be, no matter where you are or what you're doing. I just want to make sure I shout out you guys and show my appreciation for you as well. Thank you to everybody that continuously joins in, whether it's on this early show on Wednesday, whether it's the new show on Friday, or any of the shows that we have during the week. You never know, maybe we'll be adding more because the news is only going to get more crazy. It's only going to get more frequent, again, as we enter midterms, as the stuff ramps up with what's going on with Venezuela. We don't know. Again, what's going on between Ukraine and Russia, what's happening between Israel and Palestine. All of these things, we have a long way to go with Donald Trump, unfortunately, at the helm, and we need to do everything we possibly can to mitigate the damages that he could possibly enact on our, not only on our country, but on our allies as well. But let's get into thanking some people, in case anybody was kind enough to shoot over $1 or $2 on the old Venmo machines, which is up here, right here. Just all you got to do is take a picture, send $1, literally $1. That's all I ask for. If everybody in the chat just, sent $1 in, just think of how much we could change people's day. Think of how much we could help the shows on this platform, whether it's me or different creators. If I give you the most bang for your buck, that's awesome. I'm very happy, and thank you for allowing me to do so. But even if it's not me, if it's Jesse Dollamore or any other fabulous creators that we have on this platform, and they give you the most value, the most bang for your buck, support them in whatever way you possibly can. I know it's a tough time with the holiday season. That's a tough time with Donald Trump and his handling of the economy. I understand. So if you're not in the financial position to do so, you can like, share, subscribe, all free things. And you can always be sure you'll be able to consume any of my content, regardless if you don't have a penny to spend. If you don't have a penny in your pocket, none of my content will be hidden behind a paywall ever. You will always be able to access every single one of it. So nobody on Venmo today, but that's okay. Like I said, everybody's buying Christmas gifts. Totally understandable. So let's head over to the Venmo. And let's head over to the YouTube machines now. Bobby Slacks, my brother. Appreciate you, dude. I really do. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted. Thank you so much. He says, love to you, Mel, Dungaree Dog, Logan. Love to all Briantologists, and thanks in advance for your kind greetings. Appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Whatever it is that you celebrate, however you celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful time with friends, family, loved ones. Rock out. I almost said a bad thing right there, and I wasn't going to say it. I used to say it all the time as a kid, but I won't say it right now. I won't say it right now. But make sure you rock out, brother. I appreciate you, Slacks. Peter, thank you so much. Thank you for the 10. Shout out to you, big guy, in what is a diabolical move. So he can continue to get away with his past crimes. Trump breaks all laws, knowing that there aren't enough judges and courts to hold him accountable. Definitely one of his ploys, and one of his plans that he uses to his benefit. But thank you, Pete. I appreciate you. Shout out to you. Shout out to Just Saying. Thank you so much for the 1 gifted. Very kind of you Very much appreciate that. Make sure we're thanking Just Saying for the 1 gifted. Same thing with Stoneflower Dragon. Thank you, Stoneflower Dragon, for the 5 gifted memberships. Really means a lot. We're on our way to 1,000 memberships here, and it's only with your help that we can get there. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you, Stoneflower. Make sure we're thanking Stoneflower Dragon in the chat for giving everybody some memberships there. And thank you finally to JD. Thank you, JD, for the 99 going right in the swear bonus, right in the swear jar, as it always does. Much appreciated to all you guys. I'll see you guys later on tonight, 8:30 p.m. 8:30 p.m. tonight on the East Coast, 5:30 here on the West Coast for another episode of Blunt Politics. We'll be covering all the craziness that's happened in between this show and tonight's show, because you can be damn sure there's going to be a lot of it. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'll let you go. Go get some good food. Go watch some good shows. Whatever it is that you have to take care of. I appreciate you, and I will see you later. All right? Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive, and I'll see you tonight for Blunt Politics. Thanks, guys. Thanks, mods. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Michael. What's up, big guy? What's up, Rock? Thank you so much for your services. Really appreciate you. What's up, Jodes? Isn't that right? Jody or Jodes? I apologize if I'm getting that wrong, but thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Event. Thank you so much to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. Please make sure you share this out. Hit that like button. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Pops. Hope you feel better, buddy. Let me know if you need anything. Send it over. Thanks, Yakov. Appreciate you, big guy. Have a great day. Oh, buddy G. What's happening, brother? What's up, Web? Thank you, guys. Take a step. Thank you, Vig. I will play it. Hogan's cover. This night we'll have more updates on PlayStation game. Updates and obviously more updates on Cross and beyond as well. So if you're wondering what's happening, please join us tonight at 8:30 Eastern.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. God bless the United States. Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy, they had great
fucking Nazis.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
I am the chosen one.
There's no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
Oh, he's calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me, he's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2".
Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. Or go fuck yourself.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.